28 years after the 16th century Babri Mosque was razed by a mob in Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, a special CBI court in Lucknow has now delivered its verdict in this case. All the 32 accused in the case, that included high-profile BJP leaders like L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, Kalyan Singh and Uma Bharti, have been acquitted in the case. The court observed that the demolition was not premeditated and that the evidence against the accused was not strong enough.
सभी अक्यूज को न्यायालय ने आज बाइज्जत बरी किया है और कोर्ट की ओपिनियन जो ओपन कोर्ट में जब जजमेंट न्यायालय दे रहा था तो उनकी ओपिनियन ये आई कि जो भी वहां लाखों कार सेवक उपस्थित हुए थे वो किसी केवल हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट के निर्णय के अनुसार वहां पे उनको कार सेवा करनी थी। तो ये कोई पूर्व प्रायोजित नहीं था, इस समय वो घटना हो गई और बाकी जितने भी ये बाकी लोग वहां पे उपस्थित नेता थे, भाजपा के नेता थे, वो लोगों ने प्रयास किया था उस घटना को रोकने के लिए। दूसरी बात, सीबीआई ने जो कैसेट्स दाखिल की थी वो भी कोर्ट ने माना कि वो टेम्पर्ड थी, सील बंद नहीं थी। तीसरी कोर्ट की ओपिनियन आई थी कि जो वहां पे जो पेपर्स की कटिंग्स कोर्ट सीबीआई ने दाखिल की थी उसकी कोई प्रिंट या उसका कोई बेस नहीं था कि वो कहां से आई थी। तो ये कोर्ट का ये निर्णय आया।
The court also observed that the leaders present at the site during the demolition were trying to stop the mob and not incite them, and that stones were pelted and it started from behind the disputed structure. Judge S.K. Yadav said that some of the leaders wanted to keep the structure safe because it had statues of Hindu deities. Most of the senior leaders among the 32 accused, such as former Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani and former Union Minister Murli Manohar Joshi, were not present in the Lucknow court, but marked their presence through a video conference. Here's what they said after the verdict was announced.
आज लखनऊ की सीबीआई कोर्ट ने एक ऐतिहासिक निर्णय दिया है और वो निर्णय इस बात को सिद्ध करता है कि 6 दिसंबर को अयोध्या में हुई घटनाओं के लिए कोई षड्यंत्र या किसी प्रकार का ऐसा आयोजन नहीं था, वो अचानक हुआ है।
Now, for more insights into this news development coming from India, our political affairs editor Kartikeya Sharma is joining us live. Now, very good afternoon to you, Kartikeya. This is a significant verdict as the Lucknow court has ruled that the Babri Masjid demolition was not pre-planned and also that there was not any strong evidence against the 32 accused. So what does this judgment mean?
See, there are a couple of facets to this judgment which has been pronounced today. One, the judge was very categorical, saying that the evidence was not enough. Second, before he pronounced the judgment, he said that the event was not pre-planned, which means that the judge meant that the demolition of the Babri Mosque was not planned, so there was no premeditated conspiracy. So, and he also said that there was the video was fabricated, and he also adds in his judgment that there were leaders who were present there at that point of time, wanted these people to stop because there were idols inside the disputed structure at that point of time, and they wanted to stop the desecration of the entire land. So these are the points, or these are, when we can say, these are the views of the judge encoded in the verdict which he pronounced today. But it is more complicated than that, because, you know, yes, it has come to an end legally, Priyanka, but it will be challenged in High Court and the Supreme Court of India. Secondly, this judgment is succeeded by a bigger judgment in which the disputed structure was awarded to Hindus, and which paved the way for the construction of Ram Temple, and a separate land has been allocated to the Muslim community where they can build their mosque. Now, in terms of restitution, in terms of resolution, in terms of a political issue coming to an end, well, I think that it's going to take its own time, and more so the eyes were on this verdict, the first and the second both, for one simple reason, because it was this whole movement which propelled Bharatiya Janata Party to power in 1996, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee went on to become the Prime Minister for 13 days in his first run. So this was not only about a land which had religious resonance, it remolded the Indian politics, it created new political constituencies in India, and it is because of this movement today, you find that the BJP has become the biggest and the most important political party, and Congress today completely stands marginalized and has reduced itself many folds. So the verdict is going to have its impact, but I think the debate will continue, Priyanka, because ultimately the structure came down. And there were people there. There was assurance on part of Kalyan Singh, then the Chief Minister, to the Prime Minister of India, then P.V. Narasimha Rao, that he would try his best to ensure that the structure does not come down. And it did came down, and the government was dismissed by then centre.
Now, Karthik, as we just heard, leaders like M.M. Joshi and L.K. Advani have reacted to this judgment. In fact, Advani has said that it is a vindication of his and the BJP's beliefs. So what do you make of these reactions?
I would say that both of them will be. Advani retired as Deputy Prime Minister of India. Murli Manohar Joshi functioned as the HRD Minister for so many years. Obviously, and both of them former BJP presidents. It's not as if there were few leaders from Bharatiya Janata Party. They were the principals in context of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which was born in 1980. It was Murli Manohar Joshi, Lal Krishna Advani, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So they were the top 3-4 leaders of BJP. Narendra Modi was not even in the picture at that point of time. So acquittal for these leaders is also a relief for Bharatiya Janata Party, because it could have created a lot of legal and ethical issues in long run, Priyanka.
Just wrapping up our discussion, a final question. Now, several communally sensitive areas in the state of Uttar Pradesh have been put on high alert. How do you see the situation unfolding after the verdict?
I don't think that much will happen. I distinctly remember covering the verdict of the High Court on the Babri Masjid. If administration has the will, then I don't think the disturbance will take place. Even the minutest details were taken into account. Then Mayawati was Chief Minister in Uttar Pradesh, that even the shops of flower vendors was closed, so that there was no distribution of sweets or flowers after the verdict. So similarly, I think if there is a proper arrangement, I really doubt that any law and order situation would arise. But I think the bigger issue here is the sort of effect it's going to have on a particular social constituency in this country, and the larger effort on part of the important politician is required, that if the debate or if the issue is settled legally, it must end politically also, because it's a divisive issue.
Karthik, just taking one more question here, just reminding our viewers, tell us a little bit about the significance of this disputed structure for a little background.
The larger issue here is that the whole dispute acquired a bigger legal life between 1946 to 1948. Subsequently, the matter was in court or was dealt at the level of district magistrate. But I think the biggest shift took place in 1980, and this is just to remind our viewers, because you had asked this question. Then the chief of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Devras, actually adopted and pushed RSS to take up this movement. And once this movement was taken up, BJP also adopted this movement in 1987 Palampur Adhiveshan, which is in Himachal Pradesh. And once that was done, there was no coming back, or there was no looking back for Bharatiya Janata Party. It merely had 2 seats in 1984. The seats jumped to 89 in 1989 election, and in 1991, Atal Bihari Vajpayee went on to become leader of opposition with 100 plus seats. So that's the significance of this religious political controversy, that it completely reimagined BJP and BJP's political constituency for India.
Right. Karthik, thank you so much for your insights on this news development. And now let's hear L.K. Advani, who has just reacted to the development.
जब ये समाचार सुना, जय श्री राम कह करके हमने इसका स्वागत किया।